The misunderstanding. We start with there is something most people don't realize until much later in life. We don't misunderstand life as much as we think we do. We misunderstand people, not because we're careless, not because we're naive, and not because we lack intelligence, but because early on we assume other people move through the world with the same internal values we carry quietly inside ourselves. We believe effort is obvious, that sincerity should be felt without explanation, that patience will eventually be recognized. And for a long time, life doesn't challenge these assumptions. It lets us live inside them. The beliefs we don't question. When we're younger, these beliefs aren't something we consciously choose. They form naturally. We watch how we treat people, how we stay loyal when it would be easier not to, how we show up even when no one is watching, and we assume others are guided by the same inner compass. So when someone makes a promise, we don't question it. When someone says they care, we don't ask what that care looks like under pressure. When someone is kind, we don't wonder how long that kindness lasts when it becomes inconvenient. At that stage of life, most people don't have leverage. When circumstances change. Here's the part most people struggle to accept. People don't change simply because time passes. They change because circumstances do. When someone has nothing, they often speak about fairness. When someone lacks options, they talk about loyalty. When someone holds no power, they can sound deeply principled, but words spoken without leverage rarely reveal character. Character becomes visible only when someone finally has choices. Clarity doesn't arrive loudly. That's when priorities quietly surface. Not loudly, not dramatically, just clearly. This is why many relationships don't end with conflict. They don't collapse in a single moment. They drift. One person grows faster. One person gains influence. One person outgrows the environment that once kept everyone equal. And suddenly, the balance changes. Taking it personally. This is usually the moment people take things personally. They ask themselves, what did I do wrong? Why does this feel different now? Why doesn't this connection feel the same anymore? But here's the quiet truth most people miss. What you're seeing isn't always change. It's clarity. People don't suddenly become someone else. They become more honest about who they've always been, once the situation allows it. Seeing without bitterness. When you understand this, the way you move through the world begins to shift. You stop chasing explanations from people who don't feel the need to explain themselves. You stop arguing with behavior that's already telling you everything you need to know. You stop mistaking distance for betrayal. Sometimes, distance is simply alignment correcting itself. This realization doesn't make you bitter. It makes you observant. When clarity no longer feels comfortable, there comes a phase in life when clarity no longer feels relieving. It arrives quietly, without noise, without a single dramatic moment of realization. You simply begin to see what you once overlooked, not because you changed, but because you no longer have the energy to keep pretending. You start to notice that some people stayed close only because the earlier version of you fit more easily into their world. You feel the difference between those who truly walked beside you and those who were only comfortable when you weren't moving too far ahead. This kind of clarity doesn't make you stronger right away. It makes you quieter. And in that quiet, you begin to understand that some connections weren't wrong. They're just no longer aligned. Maturity is choosing, not enduring. There's a common misunderstanding about what maturity really means. Many people believe it's about tolerating more, being more patient, being more forgiving. But at some point, you realize something shifts. Maturity isn't about carrying more weight. It's about choosing more carefully. You begin to notice who only shows up when things are easy, who listens to you only when the conversation doesn't ask much of them, who stays when you're no longer familiar or convenient. And instead of arguing, explaining, or trying to hold things together, you step back. calmly, without resentment, not because you're hurt, but because you understand your energy isn't unlimited. You're not closing yourself off. You're simply no longer leaving the door wide open for everyone. That kind of selectiveness doesn't make you cold. It makes you steady. Peace arrives when you stop needing to be understood. Eventually, you reach a place where you no longer need everyone to understand you. You realize that clarity doesn't require validation, and peace doesn't come from agreement. It comes from self-alignment. You're still capable of caring, still capable of kindness, still wishing people well, but you stop confusing care with access. You stop allowing others to reach places in your inner life they haven't earned. You no longer ask, why did they change? You ask a quieter, more honest question. Does this relationship still fit the person I'm becoming? That question doesn't take anything away from you. It lightens you. And without drama, without bitterness, you move forward. Not with the feeling that you lost people, but with the understanding that you finally saw them clearly. And just as importantly, you saw yourself. Maturity in how we move. People who understand this don't waste energy trying to force consistency from others. They stop over-investing in relationships that rely solely on shared history. They stop assuming proximity equals commitment. They recognize that some people were meant to walk beside them for a chapter, not a lifetime, and instead of resenting that truth, they respect it. Clarity without resentment. At some point, everyone reaches a moment where they see people more clearly than ever before, not because they became more judgmental, but because they became more honest about what they need, honest about what they tolerate, honest about what they no longer have the energy to maintain. And that honesty simplifies things. You stop asking why people changed, and you start realizing this is who they've always been. You just see it now. That realization doesn't make you smaller. It steadies you. It allows you to move forward lighter, not because you lost people, but because you finally understand them.